I've been using the S23 Ultra as my daily driven phone for a little bit over a year now, and it's really become an extension of my creativity with the S Pen and the solid camera set that it has. Since my last phone was the Note 10 Plus, I wasn't ever really able to reliably use footage from that for my YouTube channel, maybe once in a while, but not often. This has really become that secondary kind of B-roll camera for me, and about 25% of probably the footage that I use on this channel comes from this phone. And that's really due to these 3 upgraded cameras that have really proven themselves time and time again over my course of ownership. There are a lot of tips and tricks that I've discovered over my long-term ownership of this, so I kind of want to share those in this review and some of my experience with this device. Throughout my ownership of this device, I've taken a lot of great footage, taken a bunch of photos, used the S Pen for a lot of creative tasks, and I've found some really cool accessories as well that I'll share a little later in this review that I think pair super well with this phone. Ever since I switched to this Galaxy Note 3 about 10 years ago, I've been completely sold on the Note line, which has now turned into the Ultra line. And one of the main reasons is really this S Pen and just the actual size of the screen. And that's been mainly due to how much I use the S Pen in my workflow. While the S24 Ultra is launching worldwide, I don't think that the overall changes are very significant. So the S23 Ultra is actually at a really good value now, where it doesn't cost an arm and a leg anymore. And you'll be happy to know that if you do intend on getting this phone, it's going to have support for 4 more years, so until 2028. I personally don't plan on changing this for the next year or 2. The first topic I wanted to discuss on the S23 Ultra is the cameras, the main reason that I upgraded to this. The 3 main shooters have all been upgraded, and of note is the 10x telephoto lens, which is incredible. Originally, for my main camera, I had considered getting a telephoto lens, but I ended up not having to buy that because this telephoto lens is so good and does 90 to 95% of what that one could have done, and it's always in my pocket. Of note is the larger movement for the optical image stabilization, and that is basically the suspension of the lens within the camera lens housing. And that has really improved a lot in terms of the shakiness for your video, and when you're in the telephoto lens mode, just reducing the overall vibration that your kind of jittery hands will cause, which has been great. I'll insert some demos here so you can check that out. In November, there was a neutral density filter option added to the raw photo mode. The 200 megapixel shooter is pretty cool. It's not an option that I use a lot, but if I do want to just capture a lot of detail in a scene, it's kind of a nice option. The camera app has a lot of useful features too. There's a high efficiency mode that they've added for HDR photos to save some space. There's a nice multi-photo option for if you want to kind of interval those. There's also a quick tap shutter for fast scenes that you'd want to capture. These pro features are really nice and just generally handy. 2 of my favorite features are actually, if you want to kind of take a group photo, the actual button on the S Pen where you can use the camera in a remote setting, so you can set it up somewhere and tap the shutter and take a photo like that instead of having to time it and like run to get in the photo. And also the double tap feature of the action button. If it's locked, you can double tap that and it quickly gets you into the photo mode, so you don't really miss photos on those candid moments that you want to take. One thing about the 3X and the 10X, specifically the telephoto one, the 10X, is that you really do need good lighting for it to come out as a decent image. In darker settings, you'll get a lot of graininess. I can give some examples here, but just FYI. Before we get into our next topic, have you ever thought about why your wireless bill is so damn high? We all love saving money and we hate overpaying. Therefore, I'm excited to announce my first sponsorship on the channel with Mint Mobile. How much are you paying for your wireless carrier, and what are you actually getting? Speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, unlimited talk, text, and a mobile hotspot even? Well, Mint Mobile offers all these features for only $15 a month. They're able to offer such a good price because they sell directly to you online and cut out the retail stores and salespeople. Big Wireless wants you to think it's hard to switch carriers, but it's actually quite simple. If your phone has an eSIM, it is very easy, and if it doesn't, Mint Mobile will even send you a free SIM card to switch over. I personally plan on trying this service as well. Don't be fooled. Go to trymintmobile.com/Vladimir Kostek, which will also be linked down in the description, and stop paying more than you have to. It only takes 15 minutes. Also, right now, new customers can get any plan for $15 a month when you purchase 3 months or more, and that includes the unlimited plan, which is normally $30 a month. Thank you to Mint for partnering, and now let's get on to the rest of the review. Now, one of the biggest reasons that I've purchased the S23 Ultra line is because of the S Pen. And one of the coolest things is that when you just pull the pen out and start taking notes, the pixels that are illuminated are the only ones that actually take power. So this is actually a pretty power efficient way to take notes. And I use this constantly for shopping lists and just to-dos and thoughts and whatnot. When I'm kind of bored sometimes, I'll just draw on here. And I find Sketchbook to be immensely useful in terms of layers, colors, palettes, brush tools, everything. I've even been using Sketchbook more recently to actually do some of the thumbnails you see on this channel. So for example, the Meta Smart Glasses one I did, I actually then overlaid some drawing on there, and that was all thanks to Sketchbook. It's really cool being able to take things as stickers too. So if you press something, pull it out. For example, my Kindle Scribe video that I did, I had an image on there on the Scribe that was a little dark because of a shadow. So I pulled one that was actually Elizabeth Hunter's The Scribe, put it as a sticker, pulled it in there, kind of superimposed it over there. The pen is incredibly useful. And I love that I can also use, for example, the Remarkable pen. I can interchange that. The Kindle Scribe pen I can interchange and use on this S23 Ultra. Signing documents is super useful. I've even done some katakana and hiragana practice in Japanese on here, and having an actual pen and doing the strokes like they actually should be and learning stroke order is really cool. Recently, I even learned that you can kind of type in the bar here. It does OCR, and then I can just search right there. Now, I have 5 accessories that I really like for this device. I'll link all the accessories I'm talking about and this specific model of phone that I have here down in the description. So check those out if you want to see the updated prices for those. And 2 of them are actually on it right now. One of them is this privacy filter. So you can see the camera screen I'm looking at here. But if I shift off axis, then it goes away. One time I was on a flight and I was like in between 2 people, and I could just, when you can feel someone just really like peering on your screen, and I was doing some sensitive stuff. So the nice thing about this being a way higher nit screen, the peak brightness is over 1700 nits, and so you can actually get away with a privacy screen now because it does reduce the brightness a little bit. And on my old Note 10, I tried a privacy screen, but in broad daylight, it was just too dark to even use. Finally on this, I think you can. This ESR case I've been using since I've had the Note 10 Plus, and it's awesome. It has a pretty strong kickstand here, so I can pop it in that direction or in that direction, and it even holds vertically too, making this a great companion for your laptop. They make a black one too, so if you're worried about it kind of yellowing out. The screen protector came with a camera protector here, and that actually fit perfectly within the case, which is really cool. So it's a great peace of mind keeping these nice pieces of glass protected, and came with a couple so I can just swap them out every couple months. Then for mobile gaming, I've tried the 8BitDo controller. That one has some kind of weight distribution issues, but this Razer Kishi fits perfectly with this S23 Ultra. You can just, you do have to take the case off, but it's a really great controller, has a pass-through for USB-C, and I don't use this all the time, but when I travel, I take this, and it's actually made mobile gaming more fun. I've never been a huge fan of just playing games on your phone, but with a controller, I think it adds a new element to it, which is really neat. 2 accessories that I really enjoy The first one is this USB-C adapter, which I can plug into the phone like so. And then it gives me 2 microphones. And these are actually all charged in this case. I'm gonna make a separate review of this and the gimbal I'm about to talk about. The gimbal has really cool AI features and a light as well. So I think the combo of this microphone set and that gimbal are a really great pairing. I will be doing a separate video on that soon, so I'll link it up here when it's done. In terms of physical design, the build quality is excellent. There's not too much you can say versus previous Galaxy or S20 kind of lines of phones, but I will say they've reduced the overall curve on the edge here, which has been really nice for the overall kind of grip on it. And it used to actually be kind of hard to put screen protectors on because there was so much curve that they wouldn't stay a lot of the times. But I think they've fine-tuned and found a nice balance between the amount of curve and the usability. One of the biggest physical things that I noticed was really the weight. The old Note 10 Plus was 38 grams lighter than this. This comes in at 234 grams, and that actually is pretty heavy. That was one of the first things I noticed, was like, wow, this is hefty, right? Like with the bigger cameras and the bigger battery, it is just a heavier phone in general, and there's no getting around that. This little case I had, I can sometimes use as a kind of holster for it. So, you know, if I'm holding it in a weird angle, it doesn't end up weighing as much on my wrist. On older models, sometimes you'd get accidental presses from like your palm here or your fingers on the outside. That does not happen here. Now, I'm not even gonna talk about One UI because if you're a long-term Android user, you know that you just use a custom skin anyways. These stock experiences, unless you're getting a Pixel phone, which is like stock Android experience, I just don't like them. There's some things that are okay, but you're just better off customizing it exactly the way you want. Personally, I use Nova Launcher, which I've been using since my Note 3, and I've just customized it exactly the way I like it, and it saves all my profiles, so when I get a new phone, I can just back up what I had, and it makes that transition a lot more seamless. Another one I'm not really going to talk about is Bixby. It's pretty trash, so if you're planning on using an assistant, just use Google Assistant. That's the best one on here. Dex is really incredible. It's probably one of the selling points, I'd say, of specifically the Samsung line. I've used it in a pinch when I needed to edit some shorts, and it's just nice to have that. If you are traveling and are in a hotel somewhere, this can technically become like a second computer for you and just a nice little backup. Anywhere that you have a TV, that can become a second monitor for you while you're just carrying around your phone, which is pretty incredible. Speaking of computers, linking to your actual laptop, there's the Windows, which I've used and is pretty useful. It just allows for instant transition of images, videos, transferring stuff there quickly, like files. Personally, I do like Quick Share a little more. And just pro tip, if you didn't know, Samsung Quick Share is not just exclusive to their Galaxy Book line of laptops. You can actually install that on any Windows laptop. And that one I like a little bit more. It just has a better seamless integration with a Samsung phone. Overall, this is just an insanely rock solid phone. I don't see myself upgrading for another year or two. Like I mentioned, the S24 Ultra line, the AI features are cool, but I don't really think they justify the additional steep hike in price. So, you know, if you are looking at upgrading from a Note 10 or an S23 or something, or you're switching over from iPhone and don't want a huge entry cost here, this is just a really solid phone overall, and you can get it on crazy discounts right now. Next week, I'll be putting out an accessory video for this microphone set and the gimbal I was talking about, which I think are incredibly good pieces of kit for beginner content creators. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.